Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Approval of the agenda. I have nothing at this time to add or delete from the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Okay, under public hearings, we have one particular public hearing scheduled for this evening out of the Zoning and Planning Commission, recommendations for a zoning amendment to rezone one parcel at 610 West 3rd Street from LIC, which is Limited Industrial Commercial, to UR, which is Urban Residential, and we have a recommendation from the Zoning and Planning. Please read that.
A letter dated June 20th, 2018, honorable members of council. At the June 19th, 2018 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, Carol Brenning's and Charles Richard Lynn Jordan's request for a zoning amendment for 610 West 3rd Street was heard. Parcel number for the lot is listed. Members voted in favor to recommend that the request to rezone the property from LIC, Limited Industrial Commercial, to UR, Urban Residential, be approved. The application is attached along with minutes from the June 18th meeting. Sincerely, Steve Willman, Chairman of Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, that had to lay over for at least 30 days prior to after the legislation was prepared. And we have now accomplished that. So anyone wishing to speak either one way or the other regarding this issue may do so. Please come to the microphone, give your name and address, and state whatever concern you have. A lot of people, no one wants to talk. Seeing no one approaching the microphone, we will declare this public hearing closed, and we do have the legislation prepared. That will go at next council meeting, then the legislation, or can it be added tonight?
Your pleasure.
If it is prepared.
Been prepared for
Okay.
a while, yeah.
Okay.
Prepared for over 30 days, so.
In order to expedite the matter, let's, I would take a motion to add it to the agenda.
So moved.
Motion, Mrs. Hottishell, to add the proposed legislation for the zoning amendment to the agenda, which becomes item number 4. All right, anyone else wishing to address council may do so. Please come to the microphone. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Thank you. Please call the roll.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Okay, so it is added as item 4 to the ordinances resolutions. Now, anyone wishing to address council may do so at this time.
Well, good evening. My name is Ron Osman, and I live back on 240 West Water Street, and I've been part of the Trap, Neuter, and Release program for about a year now. I had 3 litters of cats pop up in my house, my neighbor's house, and became involved with the TNR program. And I'm still helping trap cats around the community, and understand that the funding that you folks permitted for that program has run out again. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents and say I hope you renew that whenever it comes available or it comes to the committee's decision, and really appreciate what you folks are doing. I think it's helping a lot in the community. Again, I've helped trap 2 mother cats dropping kittens over behind Walmart and the low-income housing, and hopefully that's done with their just helped over on 13th Avenue. We had someone complain, and I walked the entire 13th Avenue or 13th Street there by the old marshes, and we found 4 litters of kittens being raised there. And I think we got 3 of the litters taken care of. The 4th one disappeared before I could get it trapped. But just appreciate what you're doing with the funding and that. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, we will move the agenda. Moving on to administrative reports. Mayor Woman.
A couple things. Hope everybody gets out, enjoys the fair. It's a big event, gives us some revenue. But one of the things I wanted to bring up was Alder of Peace. I don't know if anybody knew or saw that with the help of the street department and a little bit of funds from here and Rotary, there is a light out there now. It's a flame, small. But hopefully maybe we can fix that and make it a little bigger one day. It's a little bit smaller than we thought, but it is burning. So we're kind of waiting to see how much gas it uses, and can't be using much. It's pretty small. So that's kind of cool. Hopefully one of these days, I kind of looked maybe next year as a project to make that a little bit better, and so let's get some signage so we can see, so people that come into town can see and where it's at when they drive by. But other than that, one of the things I've been trying to work on with some help from outside people, Veterans American Legion and DAR, working on, I brought it up once before, there's going to be hopefully a little bit better Veterans Day parade this year. So the public knows that we have Warren Davison will be here to speak during that parade time at the courthouse. So we're trying to gear some things up and bring a few more entries into the parade. So hopefully it's going to be a nice event for us. So, and that will be on the 11th. Sometimes they switch that around because that's a Sunday this year. So, but it looks like everybody's agreed that we'll do it on the day that's normally done, which is 11/11/11. So 11th month, 11th day, 11th hour. So that's what we're working on. So if anything comes up new, I'll let you know. Pass.
Okay, thank you, sir. Safety Service Director, Mr. Garrison.
Thank you, President Burkett. Good evening, Council. Just to follow up on what the gentleman was talking about with the trap, neuter, and release program. With the 2018 budget, I believe, and I didn't look at this number ahead of time, I believe it was 3,000 to 4,000, or was it 2 that we appropriated?
We started with 2 and then we added another 2, I believe.
So yeah, we were up to $4,000 in the 2018 budget. And with the last bill that was approved, I believe we had about $750 left. With the summer months, it seems like the cat population was easier to maybe trap and more visible. So the Humane Society and their group of volunteers were out doing what we had empowered them to do with the city budget. So depending on the direction of that program, we may see someone from the Humane Society here in the near future, seeing if council wants to continue that program throughout 2018 or if we want to wait for the 2019 budget. So with that, a couple things out of that revolve around zoning issues that I'll share with you this evening. The first being Speedway Super America, Speedway Marathon. As we all know, we have a couple dilapidated buildings here within the city, with one building being in close proximity to the city building here on North Broadway, just across the bridge, and then the other vacant store at the corner of Martin and Ohio. With the help of the assistant fire chief and the firefighters who continue to do inspections on all commercial buildings, whether they be occupied or unoccupied, they were able to reach out to some officials from Speedway in the legal department. And I was able to obtain that person's phone number, and I reached out to them as well concerning the unsightliness of their properties. And this person put me in contact with a regional maintenance manager that I did not even know existed. And we reached out and was a very pleasant individual to deal with. And he made a trip to Greenville, and he met with the mayor, myself, and Mike Bowers with the Economic Development Department. Obviously, previous Mayor Bowers had some background in dealing with this situation longer than the two of us have dealt with it. So he was there as well. Anyways, during that meeting, that individual from Speedway visited both sites and was in agreement that both sites drastically need some help. And this past week, that individual was able to have a conference call with his corporate individuals. And the decision of that conference call, we didn't get everything that we asked for, but the decision was made that in the near future, the building on North Ohio will be demolished. Actually, there are two buildings there that will be demolished. And I won't share with you, but it was just an unpleasant visit when we visited that site. So with that is some good news. They did state, however, and this is what we were told previously with the store at Martin in Ohio, that they still feel that that property has more value with the current structures. We would tend to disagree with that, but that is their sentiments at this time. But that also leads me to the next statement about Super America, and this is common knowledge, and I can share this with you as it is public record. Speedway has made the request to have a meeting with the administration, and that meeting is concerning a pre-development agreement which revolves around their store on Wagner Avenue, as they would like to pretty much demolish that building and rebuild it and redo the pumps on that property. So that business would be shut down for a while. I would invite the law director, maybe president of council and council members, if you're present on 8/30, August 30th at 9:30 a.m. to maybe attend a meeting in the downstairs classroom and share with them your thoughts on Speedway's presence in the city of Greenville. And maybe through a constructive meeting, we might be able to come to a better resolution about Martin and Ohio Street.
What time is that on the 30th?
9:30.
Thank you.
And then the administration, myself, the mayor, Chad Henry, we met with the BRC this past week. We've had a couple meetings with them. And you're well aware, you've approved a couple different zoning changes for the Brethren Retirement Community to move forward with the housing development on their property. And we changed the zoning to special use for them. And if you've been down Chestnut Street, you've seen the construction progress being made, but you may have also noticed that Oak Street is in a little bit of disrepair, and because of the development, and I believe there are 6 water taps and there are 6 sewer taps for 12 trenches in that street that was getting to the end of its useful life. And one of the reasons that we chose not to maybe pave that street or Oakwood Street, which is right around the corner, is because when you look at the average daily travel, it wasn't there. So we felt that, spending the money to repair other streets that are more heavily traveled was a priority. Well, with this construction process and the condition of the street, we had a conversation with the BRC to have a discussion about future paving. And happy to report that I feel we came to an amicable solution for both the city and the BRC, and would like to, with council's blessing, because they would need to appropriate money to complete the project yet this year, the BRC will have their curb installed by the middle of September. And as I discussed at the last meeting, that's about the time that our paving will be starting. Well, it'll be hopefully towards the end of our paving, but we have other things going on in Greenville with that particular company, that they would be able to pave Oak Street yet this year. So we're looking at about $20,000 to pave the street, and the BRC has agreed to pay for half of that street, half of the paving of that street. So that would equate to about, with just the paving portion, somewhere between $8,000 and $10,000. And the reason that I say that is because the street is in disrepair. We need to do some milling on the other side of the street, because on the other side of the street there's old curb. So we would mill that. And then there are some areas that desperately need some what we call base repair, and that really had nothing to do with the project. The street was already deteriorated. So we would do the base repair, we would do the milling, and then pay for half of the street paving if council would be willing to do that. Any discussion or yays, nays? Good idea, bad idea?
I think it'd be a good idea.
It needs it. It needs it bad.
Gotta be done.
Okay.
Well, we're not paying for it all either, so.
Right, right. So, okay, well, I will, I'll make that request at the next council meeting. Just realize that I'll be requesting the full amount, and then we'll get the reimbursement from the BRC. Okay. Then the last thing I will, well, I have two other things I'm going to share with you. The next thing has to do with Wayne Healthcare, just an update. We did receive the vacation plat and description from the BRC, and there was one minor change that I had them make. I'm sorry?
Wayne Healthcare.
Wayne.
What did I say?
You said BRC.
I'm sorry, Wayne Healthcare. I'm sorry. We received the vacation plat from Wayne Healthcare, and I suggested one change before I sent it on to our engineer for review, and it goes back to what Mr. Hensley, one of the issues that he had brought up during our special work session. The alley that would go between Martz and, would that be Sherman? I believe Sherman and Martz. There was an issue about the width of the alley and then how far. So they have agreed to give the city right-of-way so that that alley would be a 20-foot width to allow for two-way traffic. So it would no longer become an alley, it'd be a small access street. Then we made I suggested that they make their vacation plat line up with that 20-foot right-of-way. So they had redone that, and then I sent that on to Matt Hoying at Choice One. He's currently reviewing that. I asked him to provide some documentation that he feels that that is appropriate for what they want to do. And then once he has done that, we'll bring that back to council for a presentation and a further discussion on how we want to maybe move forward in that matter. So, any questions on that? Then the last thing we'll discuss with you is the first ordinance, and I would just like to take a little bit of time before you take that ordinance under consideration. And this part of that is for additional funds for various departments, and would just like to point out a few things, and you can find that on the back of your agenda under the first ordinance and a description. The new equipment for the police department in the amount of $30,642. These are funds that we're asking to be appropriated into the police fund under new equipment. And these funds are coming from what we call police user fees. And the police user fee accumulates from monies that are received due to like false alarms around the community. If a business has a false alarm and we have to respond to it as a police department, they're sent a bill, and that money goes into police user fees. And that money has been accumulating over time. And then the other spot that the money's coming from is the law enforcement fines. Again, those are monies receipted into the general fund from the police department. And now we're asking for those funds to be appropriated so we can spend them on various pieces of new equipment. And an example of the new equipment, we would be purchasing a vehicle. It would be an unmarked car. It's not necessarily a cruiser. It's a smaller vehicle that would be used by our detective section. We are also looking for dollars to replace the recorder in dispatch. was one of the things that was not done during the dispatch upgrade because we were trying to, or we felt that the old equipment would work. However, with the newer equipment, the old technology of that recorder is not working how we would like it to. So about $16,000 of that money is going towards the recording system. And then also another section of that you see at the bottom under the new equipment, the $16,069, that is coming from the Law Enforcement Trust Fund. And these are monies that we receive from the state for equipment purchases. So again, this is not coming from our property tax or the income tax portion of our general fund, but outside funds that the police department receives specifically for the purchase of new equipment. And then the next part under that I would like to talk about is the equipment maintenance in the park. There were, in all of our parks, there is some equipment and things that need to desperately be done to not necessarily even upgrade our park, but make our park safe and make our park a little more eye-appealing. At North Park, we have basketball goals that have holes in them. And they're acrylic in nature, so we need to replace those. We needed mulch in the playground area of North Park as it was getting to a very sad state. There are several pieces of playground equipment that have been broken, whether through use or malicious intent. Either way, there was equipment out there that we would not want our kids playing on. So we've actually removed the equipment at this time, and we need to purchase some new equipment to, or basically replacement parts to make the playground pieces more operable and more safe. And we have that situation at North Park, the main park, and then also at South Park. So we have totaled up those equipment needs. We've looked at our equipment budget. And we looked at there's a few projects that we still want to complete for this year at the parks. One of them being at North Park, and we need to do some crack repair, crack sealing on the basketball courts. We have about a 3-inch crack running longitudinally down the basketball court. So when you run up and down the court, I guess it would be really easy to maybe twist an ankle or whatever. So we need to get that taken care of, and we want to get it repaired this year so that we can put in next year's budget the actual, what we would, I guess you would call it a sealer or painting, basically putting the lines back down for the basketball area and the pickleball court, which is also contained within that basketball area at North Park. So all totaled, the additional request is for $25,000. We have approximately $5,000 left in the maintenance budget. We started with 38, I believe, on the year, just with all the different projects that go on and the things that break out in the parks. That's kind of where we're at. So that is the request this evening, and I say that on behalf of the park board and on behalf of the street service department, which is charged with maintaining those pieces of equipment. And with that, Mr. President, if there are no other questions, I will pass.
Any questions for the Safety Service Director? Okay, thank you, sir. Moving agenda, Law Director, Mr. Brand,
I'll pass.
and City Auditor, Mrs. Wellman.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to let the council know that all the department heads will be turning in their final budget submissions for the 2019 year on September 17th, and the Administration and Finance Chair will be going over those submissions with the department heads in October, and hopefully we can present the budget to you sometime in November. I know that's a little bit, that's sooner than we've done it before, but we're hoping, we're hopeful. So with that, I pass.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to committee reports, we have one on the Personnel and Public Relations Committee to consider amending ordinance relating to the compensation of law director and assistant law director, and utilizing one assistant director rather than two, and has been operating.
A letter, or a report dated August 3rd, 2018. Honorable members, we hereby submit a report. The Personnel and Public Relations Committee met on July 31st, 2018 to consider amending the ordinance relating to the compensation for the law director and the assistant law directors and the considerations of utilizing one assistant law director rather than two, as it has been operating. The committee recommends utilizing one assistant law director instead of two and increasing the annual salary to $52,000. Respectfully submitted, Committee on Personnel and Public Relations, Chairman Jeff Whitaker, Vice Chairman Dory Howdeshell, and Member Doug Wright.
Move to accept the committee's report.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt to accept the committee's report. Discussion.
I have a couple of recommendations. I have no problem at all with the one assistant law director being paid the amount which had been allocated between two assistants. The 2018 budget called for both of these positions a total of $49,200. And I would recommend that any suggested increase be considered in the 2019 budget. And I also have one other recommendation. If we could make that salary adjustment effective as of August 1st, the city won't incur any penalties. If we go back to July, which is when he originally took over both positions, we'll be subject to some PERS penalties. So
Okay.
that's what I'd like to recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what the
Yeah, we
proposed
changed.
ordinance calls for. August 1 start date.
Okay. But the committee report is different. The committee report said the annual salary of 52.
Right.
So we have a motion to adopt the committee's report.
I'd like to move to amend it to make the, number one, to make the salary to fit within the 2018 budget of 49.2,
Is that it? 49?
That's fine. And the other parts are.
and the other part is already there, yeah.
Okay, we have an amendment to the motion to consider this report. The amendment to the report is to change the amount to 49.2 instead of 5,200 or 52,000.
And again, we'll look at that in the budget for next year to increase it, more accordingly. But we felt it necessary, after thinking about it more, to stay within the budget this year, and then we can look at it further.
Okay? So, the motion has been made to amend the report. Further discussion on the amendment? Okay, you're voting on the amendment. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Howdeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Now, we have on the table a motion to accept the amended report. Further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Howdeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Now, understand legislation is prepared with the amendment, correct? Okay, so that automatically goes to item 5 under ordinances and resolutions. And, okay, that's all we have under committee reports. I do have, under committee reports or committee assignments, I do have a request from the Safety Service Director dated today. A committee assignment be to review the 2018 Ohio Department of Natural Resources Land and Water Conservation Grant. This grant is the grant, if funded, would provide partial funding for the installation of a splash pad at South Park. The committee may recommend to council project specifications, budget, local funding requirements, etc. I'm going to assign that to the Finance Committee. And, huh? I assigned this the last meeting? Not that? This was a rec.
Yes.
Yeah, you just asked me to put it in written form for you.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. There you go. Thanks for
They have
keeping my
copies
memory.
already.
Thank you. She's got a copy. Okay, we're good.
But we don't have a due date.
We do need a due date.
Next meeting?
Okay.
Applications due November 1st.
Gotcha.
Could you have it no later than the last meeting in September?
I will have it the first meeting.
Okay, but we will just ask for the 18th, no later than, okay? And once again, remind all committee members or committee chair that if you are assigned a committee and given a committee assignment, you have it done ahead of time, you may, of course, submit it earlier.
Who's all on that committee?
Mr. Whitaker and Mr. Rogers. All right, that concludes our committee's information. Now moving on to ordinance resolution number 1 is a supplemental appropriation ordinance.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018. There has been a change that council has been informed of on the summary for this. This ordinance authorizes appropriations to the general fund for salaries, civil service in the amount of $1,500. These funds are needed for civil service salaries for additional testing in 2018. New equipment, police department in the amount of $30,642. The funds are needed for the new police equipment and are coming from police user fees and law enforcement fines received. New equipment, fire department in the amount of $1,500. These funds are needed for a custom canopy and table cover for use in education programs and were paid for by business donations. Into the park fund for professional services park in the amount of $3,000. These funds are needed for tree removal. Equipment maintenance park in the amount of $25,000. These funds are needed for immediate repairs to park property and equipment. And to the police pension fund for police officers' retirement police pension in the amount of $124,000. These funds are needed to cover officer overtime and officer payouts. And to the Law Enforcement Trust Fund for New Equipment Law Enforcement Trust in the amount of $16,069. These funds are needed for new police equipment and are coming from police user fees and law enforcement fines received.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion from Mr. Godwin to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018. An ordinance to make additional appropriations for current expenses and other expenditures of the City of Greenville, State of Ohio during the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018.
Move to accept this ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Howneshell to adopt the ordinance. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
And next, we have a resolution assessing liens on properties for noxious weed mowing, trash and tree removal, and declaring an emergency.
A resolution certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the City of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to authority granted by Section 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency. This resolution will assess noxious weed mowings, trash removals, and tree removal to multiple parcels. This resolution has an emergency clause.
Move to suspend the rules and give this resolution second and third reading by title only.
Motion, Mr. Smith, to suspend the rules, read the resolution by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hottishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
A resolution, certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the City of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to the authority granted by Section 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency. A resolution certifying to the Dark County Auditor certain amounts to be entered upon tax duplicates as liens representing expenses incurred by the City of Greenville, Ohio for its services rendered in cutting and destroying noxious weeds or removing litter pursuant to authority granted by Section 731.51 to 731.53, inclusive of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring an emergency.
Move to accept the emergency clause.
Motion by Mrs. Howdeshell to adopt the emergency clause. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Need a motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion to adopt the resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Howdeshell to adopt the resolution. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Okay, next, we have a resolution approving bids for contracts for water and wastewater, or water and sewer plant chemicals for use and delivery in 2019.
A resolution approving bids for contracts for water and sewer plant chemicals for use and delivery in 2019. This resolution approves bids for water and sewer plant chemical contracts for 2019 with Brentag Mid-South Incorporated, USA LCO Fairfield Plant LLC, PVS Technologies Incorporated, Carmey's Lime and Stone Incorporated, and Chemical Services Incorporated.
Move to suspend the rules, give this resolution a second, third reading by title only.
Motion by Mr. Schmidt to suspend the rules, read the resolution by title, second, and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
A resolution approving bids for contracts for water and sewer plant chemicals for use and delivery in 2019. A resolution approving bids for contracts for water and sewer plant chemicals for use and delivery in 2019.
Move to adopt this resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Howdeshell to adopt the resolution. Discussion. Call the roll.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
That's it? I thought you were giving me all of it once. Jeez. Takes me a while to sign that mess. Okay, now we have the item on the rezoning issue. As per the public hearing, there were no objections, so we're moving on with, read it by title, please.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land for the former railroad depot. This ordinance rezones a tract of land located at 610 West 3rd Street that was the former railroad depot from LIC Limited Industrial Commercial to UR Urban Residential.
Move to suspend the rules and give this ordinance, or the resolution first and second time reading by title only.
So ordinance.
Ordinance.
I'm sorry, ordinance, I'm sorry.
Motion by Mr. Howdeshell to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
An ordinance rezoning a tract of land for the former railroad depot. An ordinance rezoning a tract of land for the former railroad depot.
Move to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker to adopt the ordinance. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Okay, and finally, we have an ordinance to change the compensation for the assistant law director for the remainder of the year and declaring an emergency.
An ordinance providing for the appointment of a single assistant director of law and to adjust the compensation of said position and declaring an emergency. This ordinance provides for the appointment of a single assistant director of law and adjusts the compensation to $49,200 annually. This ordinance has an emergency clause.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on this ordinance and read it by title only, second and third time.
Motion, Mr. Godwin, to suspend the rules, read the ordinance by title, second and third time. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Hoddeshell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
An ordinance providing for the appointment of a single assistant director of law and to adjust the compensation of said position and declaring an emergency. An ordinance providing for the appointment of a single assistant director of law and to adjust the compensation of said position and declaring an emergency.
Move to adopt the emergency clause.
Motion by Mrs. Howdeshell to adopt the emergency clause. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Godwin,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Pettischall,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
Need a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Whitaker to adopt the ordinance. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Godwin,
Yes.
Hensley,
Yes.
Pettischall,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Whitaker,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
That concludes our ordinances resolutions. And moving on to what do we have next? Old business. Nothing. We have 3 items of new business.
A letter dated August 1st, 2018. Dear Clerk, please advise the members of council pursuant to Section 452.125, the Safety Service Director and I have established handicap parking spaces in front of the residences at 114 Montgomery Street and 331 West Water Street, Greenville, Ohio, 45331. Respectfully submitted, Chief Steve Strick.
Any objections or just for council's edification? Those 2 items under one cover. And item 3 from the Division of Liquor Control, permit applications for September 9th First Friday events and for September 13th Wayne Healthcare event.
Permit applications were submitted to and approved by the Ohio Division of Liquor Control for Main Street Greenville's First Friday event on September 7th, 2018, and for the Wayne Healthcare Women's Night Out event on September 13th, 2018.
So what, we have the option of either objecting or requesting a hearing or nothing? Nothing? Just as for council's information.
Is this September 7th or September 9th? I thought she read September 7th.
That's what I thought I heard too, but, yeah.
September 7th.
Okay.
This says
On the
the
paper
ninth.
tonight.
Yeah, it says on the
Technicality.
Okay,
paper the 9th.
just clarifying.
It's the 7th.
Where is,
It is the 7th, yeah.
where's the Wayne Healthcare event going to take place?
At the Wayne Healthcare Conference.
They're in the right.
Pardon? Okay, so we don't worry about that, it's just a matter of council's information. Do we have items of communication?
Monthly reports were received from the following departments: Police Department, Street Department, and Transit Department. These reports have been distributed to council.
Any other items of communication from anyone? Okay, we will call down the council, please.
Mr. Godwin?
Just like to thank everybody for coming up tonight, and hope everybody's enjoying the fair. And with that, I'll pass.
Mr. Hensley?
I will pass.
Mrs. Haddishell?
Everybody please be safe going to the fair and leaving the fair, and enjoy Labor Day weekend coming up. And thank you everyone for coming tonight, and with that, I pass.
Mr. Schmidt?
I'll pass.
Mr. Whitaker?
And my thanks to everybody again for coming out. It's important decisions we're making all the time at council meetings, and the more people that attend and make themselves aware it's going on in council, the better. And just want to invite everybody to, enjoy the fair and be safe. That'll pass.
Mr. Wright?
I'll pass.
President Burkett?
I need a motion to excuse the absences for the month of August.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Hallenshall to excuse the absence for the month of August. Now, after last council meeting, which was August the, 7th? No, yeah, August the 7th. I'm sorry, call roll. I mean, what?
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley? Hensley?
Yes.
Haddishell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
Yeah, at the last council meeting, after the last council meeting, August the 7th, our reporter, Mr. Berry, admonished me for not doing something that I normally do. The fact that it was 4 days after the actual event, I normally mention Treaty Day, which is August the 3rd. And there have been, of course, several occasions when we've had the first council meeting in August on Treaty Day. It is a very important day, particularly for this community, when you consider the largest vertical log fortification ever built in the entire United States was right here. And we're sitting kind of in the middle of it, and the actual site. It was a very significant fortification. Interestingly enough, there were never any battles here. But the treaty negotiations did occur here with the 13 Indian nations, and the Treaty of Greenville was signed. I think it's important that we keep this in mind because, unfortunately, and I'm a former educator and was a social studies consultant for many years with the county schools, our history books don't tell much. In fact, we don't teach much history anymore in our country. We teach a lot of, quote, social studies. And people are losing sight of history by destroying a lot of monuments that were to things that nobody can redo. It's done, it's over with, it happened. We can't change that. We cannot change history. So I'm asking you to remember history, and for heaven's sakes, please don't try to change it. Have a good evening, and I would appreciate a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mrs. Howard-Shell to adjourn. Call the roll, please.
Godwin?
Yes.
Hensley?
Yes.
Cottrell?
Yes.
Schmidt?
Yes.
Whitaker?
Thank you,
Wright?
Yes.
and good night. All right.